Welcome back to another episode of the 323. As you can tell by this heavy Pakistani accent, I am Zuhair. Reed could not join us today because he's trying to find dem boys. It's been very quiet the last couple of weeks. It still brings a smile on my face, and we're just trying to make sure that they're all right. Taking over as host of the show today is the host of the 323 College Shame Day, and the man who's always one square away from winning a free t-shirt at a bingo game. Introducing Scott Ellia.
Oh, you're so sweet. You are so sweet. So thank you for rubbing in the fact that I have yet to win fucking bar bingo. And actually, after you left, the last game was blackout bingo. So you had to get every single one in there. And I used all three cards between the two of us that we had left over, and I still didn't win.
But didn't somebody else get a blackout to win, like just the squares or something?
Yep.
Yeah,
because they had to get like just the border around the card, but it ended up being a blackout bingo. But hey, oh well. I guess can't win them all. But I'm surprised that Dad is trusting Captain Mid himself to head the ship at this point again. So this will be a very interesting episode. But there's nothing really too crazy aside from it seems like every NFL team has a new head coach.
Yeah. There's a couple that are missing. I feel like a lot of the top candidates that we were thinking about, I feel like teams just lost their patience. They just got too far in the playoffs, and they were just like, we need something right now because we're so shitty that we just got to get this ball rolling. We got to get the plan together. Just throw money at whoever's available and just move on.
Right. It's kind of like the holiday season when like you're just waiting for something to go on sale and it never does. And by the time you finally get around to buying a gift for somebody, all the good shit's gone and you have to like just get something in there. But yeah, Jerod Mayo, New England's retaining him. I'm very interested to see how that hire is going to go. Obviously he's following up Bill Belichick, who is going to go down as one of the greatest to ever do it across all major sports.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that all of that like had to have been talked about during the season, like he was a picked successor. It wasn't like surprise firing and pick whoever's next. Like it looked like they had that in mind throughout the whole season.
Right. And how do you feel if you're Belichick's son, who's on the coaching staff at the same point in time, and you got skipped over for Jerod Mayo? I mean, it makes sense. You can't just be given a job unless he is a Nepo baby, but oh well. So good luck to him. And then Antonio Pierce.
Who knows what skeletons are in Kraft's closet?
Oh God.
Right
Lots of massage oil. That's what's in his closet. And then thankfully, like the Raiders actually did something right for a change and then actually retaining Antonio Pierce. I'm actually really excited to see that, even though he went after when he took over, they went 5-4 after they took over.
Something like that.
But you can see it was a completely different energy in that locker room. Like they were a lot more, the players were more engaged. They wanted to play. They were kind of, even though they had nothing to play for, they still went out, still trying to grind.
Yeah, they found the man of the people, the one that could rally everybody up and make them actually want to play and fight for something, even if it's meaningless games. But it all comes down to getting the staff to actually execute offensive, defensive plans. If they don't have that, then being a man of the people is not going to mean anything in the next coming seasons.
Absolutely not. And talk about the upcoming seasons. I feel so bad that this gentleman's getting his first shot at being a head coach, and that's Brian Callahan taking over the Tennessee Titans, who are just in shambles. I mean, you have a guy who's worked with the likes of, Peyton Manning, Matt Stafford, Joe Burrow. He's been the OC for the Cincinnati Bengals since 2019, and you saw what that offense was doing. Is there any hope in Tennessee, even with him at the head of the table?
Don't No, I think that's going to be one of those, like, we'll just see how it goes.
I do not feel good for him. I mean, you got Derrick Henry looks like he's on his way out. They've kind of leveraged their star players in the past and trade them all away seemingly to the Philadelphia Eagles at this point. So that is not going to be a fun rebuild. So hopefully he gets a little bit more leash.
I mean, at least they have like quarterback options in-house already. So
yeah,
for them, it's just kind of like picking between one of the three that they have and then kind of building around that, where everybody else seems to be having the opposite problem where there is weapons and stuff, but just no one to pull the trigger. So I'm not even saying it's a fun situation. It's just more unique than what the rest of the league has to do with.
Right. And if you're gonna get anybody to come take over, especially like you said, you have two relatively solid potential starting quarterbacks there in Tennessee already, and you're having this,
There's
new
no way you're
modern
talking about
offense
Willis for one of
QB.
them.
No. But if anyone's going to give him a shot, it's going to be him with his offense that he's been running, bringing that to Tennessee and kind of just doing the opposite, because what Vrabel brought to the table is more defensive minded. So you're kind of flipping the script, and you can only score so many points on defense,
Yeah.
So you got to bring in somebody who's offensive minded.
No.
But speaking about defense, we got the most recent hire of Raheem Morris. He's leaving the LA Rams and he's taking over for the head coaching position at Atlanta Falcons. And I, for one, am shocked because I think Belichick had 2 interviews with them.
Yeah, big shocker for sure. We were highly convinced that Belichick would be the right fit over there because of all the offensive weapons that they had. And they really do just need a quarterback and to be like fine-tuned a little bit. I'm interested to see how Raheem Morris does over there. So it went from like, ooh, this could be interesting to, okay, I'm just curious now. But the fact that Vrabel and Belichick are still looking around and there's like, what, 2 teams left needing coaches? Seattle, Washington. Who else?
And Washington already came out saying that they're not going to be looking to interview anybody until this weekend, potentially.
Yeah, because they did I think it's like the second or third Dan Quinn interview, and then everybody else has been like virtual. They did the Bobby Slowick one, and then they did the virtual ones within league parameters for Ben Johnson. So,
right.
I mean, yeah, it's wild that they still have options.
Oh, Panthers.
No, Panthers.
Wait, no, Panthers. They picked up Canales, Dave Canales from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's right. So yeah, it's gone. So yeah, it is just the Seahawks and the Commanders.
Which I thought the Panthers were just going to get whoever's left. The fact that they actually got somebody while the postseason was still going on was quite shocking.
Right. And I'm even more shocked that the Falcons went that route because you got to think about the amount of talent you have on the offensive side of the ball with Drake London and Kyle Pitts and Bijan. You're, like you said, you're kind of a quarterback away from being a very potent offense, and you're bringing a defensive-minded coach like Raheem Morris. What's good with him is that he's definitely a leader of the locker room. They're going to look up to him. They're going to follow his lead, and hopefully they correct that defense because the defense was going to need some help too.
If I remember correctly, Raheem Morris actually started on the offensive side of the ball and then moved over. So he does have a history there, but also like working under McVay for so long. Like you got to think like he's made some connections or something that he'll bring in to be the offensive coordinator to kind of like fine tune all of that.
Right. And I mean, and he's going to have a little bit of a edge up on everybody. Cause if you remember, he was the head coach for the Buccaneers for about 2 seasons. Mm-hmm. And I think that was his first kind of stint at being a head coach. Yeah. And then he like kind of took that step back. He was a D-backs coach for you guys in Washington. And then he went to the Falcons for a while. And then I believe he was the interim head coach there for a second too, wasn't he? In Atlanta?
Maybe.
I'm pretty sure. In like 2021, 2020,
Morris
something like that.
was last in Atlanta 3 years ago when he was the interim head coach after Dan Quinn was fired after the team's 0-5 start.
Right. So Morris, it's nice having somebody
as the interim coach in Atlanta hired Arthur Smith to replace him.
Now, if you're Arthur Blank, you're like, well, what if I just had hired Raheem Morris full time and not even done the Arthur Smith thing at this point? But hey, you live and you learn. Like you said, Dave Canales, he got hired in Carolina, so that should be interesting. It's another young and up and coming head coach. How old is he? He's got to be like 40 something.
I don't even know how to spell his name, so I'm trusting you to look that up.
Oh God. But the biggest fish of all, Jim Harbaugh, longtime head coach of the Michigan Wolverines, just recently won the national championship there in Ann Arbor. He is leaving college football for the sunny coast of Los Angeles and going to be the new head coach for the Chargers. Now,
he's 42.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Canales, not Harbaugh.
Let's make that very clear.
Well, and now he's back. So he's back in the NFL. He was the head coach for the 49ers for a long time. He went to the Super Bowl and played against his brother there in Baltimore. Do you think with having a young quarterback like Herbert, that he's going to be able to come in and actually bring some of that magic that he's been kind of accustomed to bring into teams.
Yeah, I think it is going to be a good revamp for them, but I don't think it's going to happen right away. I think it is going to be a better version of Sean Payton, where it started off really bad and then like they started kind of getting the ball rolling and their gears turning a little better. So I do feel like it is going to be a good change for them, and the weapons are going to be utilized a lot better. I think it is going to take a couple of drafts just to get the pieces that he needs to actually execute his plans.
Right. And especially because you see a lot of these guys coming from college to the NFL. I mean, thankfully he has the background in the NFL already, but think about Urban Meyer, Matt Rule, Chip Kelly, Nick Saban, a lot of these really great coaches in college, it never ended up working out in the NFL. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens in Michigan now that he's gone, and how much of an impact that is going to have, not just there in Michigan, but just college football in general, because you have a brilliant mind like him there in Michigan. Now he's going to create a vacuum. So I think you're going to start seeing what you've been seeing down in Alabama, where a lot of these kids and a lot of these recruits are going to start backing out and finding somewhere else because they don't know what's going to happen. Especially in the Big Ten, you got Ryan Day, the head coach there in Ohio State. He's been poaching players left and right from Alabama and has a really great transfer portal kind of signing period this go around. So I think with him now being gone, the door's wide open, especially in the Big Ten. So I'm excited to see what that's going to bring next year. Oh, and also the fallout from all the allegations and the cheating scandals and the this, that, and the fourth. It looks like he's going to be pulling a Pete Carroll and escaping the aftermath when Pete Carroll left USC for that Seattle job. So
another
good for you, Jim.
Coach.
And I thought that the Chargers were going to try to make a bigger push for Pete Carroll, but I guess they were able to get him in. And look who we have joining us.
Hello.
Speaking about sunny California.
What's up, guys? Hey, let me know if I sound okay because my dog ate my headset.
Oh no.
Oh no. Oh man. And for those who are just joining us, that is the voice of the Big Chief Rio Luis. How are you doing this evening?
Good, man. I was sorry. I had to run out and get something to eat, and then I didn't want to interrupt you guys earlier.
Was it a burrito?
It was actually a burrito, as I got leftover hot sauce here.
Nice.
Hey, there you go.
But yeah, no, I'm doing good. I mean, a lot of people. You guys might know I was sick about a week ago. So ago, I had to go to the old hospital for a little oil change. And a little tune up, but I'm back on the mend now. And the 3 remaining Charger fans in San Diego are all very happy about the Harbaugh signing.
Very nice.
There was that silence you hear is all of the San Diego Charger and LA Charger fans going hooray.
I was glad that I actually was able to. I looked over to the screen and saw you join in as we were talking about San Diego and the Chargers and bringing Harbaugh in, because I was very interested to see from your point of view how the overall tone was. Which it doesn't surprise me. It sounds like they're excited.
No, I mean they posted the. The big winner is the San Diego Chargers social media, because they did post that the white smoke thing like they do with the Pope, like we have chosen the new Chargers head coach. And then they posted the who got it better than us, right? But literally, dude, there's a couple of Chargers fans like, all right, yeah, we got the Chargers, and then it was like, all right, nobody, but they had to put down their weed and surfboard for like 30 seconds, and then they're like, all right, back to living in sunny California.
Oh my God, the Chargers actually have this picture as like their profile photo.
Oh,
the
that's
one we
funny.
have in the corner.
Oh yeah. No,
that's hilarious.
I was more interested in the fact that the Raiders hired the GM of the team that they beat by like 45 points. Right? They hired Telesco, I think, as their GM, and he was the GM of the team they destroyed. That one seemed a little bit weird for me. There's a little incest happening amongst the AFC West teams. That's never a bad thing.
You're just what, robbing Peter to pay Paul at this point? You're just mixing it all up.
It's weird. And then, I mean, I'm sure you guys have already talked about the fact that nobody wants Bill Belichick, apparently.
No Belichick, no Pete Carroll, and no Vrabel.
And Ron Rivera. Nobody wants Rivera but Ron.
No Vrabel and no. The weirdest, obviously, is, and I'm sure you guys talked about it last week, is that the Cowboys stuck with their coach, man. That was like the mother of all. Wait, what? You have the best coach of all time. You have Vrabel, who would have been a stud for the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
Even Pete Carroll in Texas, I think, would have been, with that defense. Pete Carroll in Texas would have been a good move. And instead, they stick with McCarthy and all the Cowboys. And then it's just like, I mean, there's nothing better than seeing Cowboy fans cry. And it was like, all right, at least we're gonna have a new coach. At least we're gonna start fresh. We're gonna get Belichick. It's gonna be awesome. And then it was like, wah, wah.
It makes me wonder, depending on how the rest of the vacancies go, if Dan Quinn's going to stay or if he's actually going to take a defensive coordinator position somewhere else.
Well, there's been a couple teams that let go of their defensive coordinators, so he could easily just swap to go somewhere.
But would he want to?
If you're him, would you rather stay there, or would you actually try to go find something new or stay somewhere comfortable, knowing that your head coach ahead of you is potentially on the chopping block and could be a mid-season firing next year, and you just take over?
I don't know, because the whole thing was that, like, if McCarthy lost his job, then they're heavily considering, like, Dan Quinn to take over.
Right.
But with McCarthy staying in the way that the last game ended and him, like, interviewing and stuff, like, if he doesn't get a head coaching job, does he want to leave Dallas, really?
Right. I think you have it pretty easy there in Dallas. I mean, you look at the amount of talent that they have on that defensive side of the ball. You kind of just keep your nose down and just focus, because it's not like there's not going to be any head coaching positions in the future, because the only two that are even available right now is Seattle that I linked him to. I think he might go back to Seattle, and then the Commanders. But you got to think about who's all available. You got Bill Belichick, who's clearly the number one candidate at this point, just based off his tenure. But then you have Ben Johnson, who can't even interview with anybody right now because, being the OC of the Detroit Lions.
League.
Right. And then from then on out, like Dan Quinn, and then you have Bobby Slowick, who has come out of nowhere down there in Houston, being the OC there. You got
the
Brian
defensive
Flores.
Coordinator for the Lions has been interviewing a lot too.
Oh,
I'm forgetting Glenn. Something Glenn.
Listen, let's not forget that Adam Gase is out there available still.
Who?
So, somebody's gonna pick up offensive juggernaut genius Adam Gase, and
Oh God.